Methods Part 3, Documentation. Method documentation is writing a comment above the method to explain how it works. Method documentation includes the task the method performs, preconditions to the method being called, the parameters needed to accomplish its task, the result or consequence of calling the method. There's an extra is there. Format for method documentation. Notice it's got 2 stars up here, denoting that this is a method doc and not just a normal block comment. Describe what the method does. Then you can list some preconditions to calling the method if you choose. We can also list those in other places. Conditions that must be met before calling the method. Post condition. Any additional notes about what the method did or did not do. Later, we're going to start having some post conditions in later chapters of methods, like, hey, it didn't affect this array, or it didn't do something. So sometimes you'll want to state the method's not allowed to do something. So preconditions are conditions that must be met before you call a method. Post condition is anything that the method did or did not do that needs to be noted beyond receiving data and returning a value. Usually we will not see a precondition and post condition during method documentation. What we'll see a lot of is at param, the name of the parameter, and then some notes about that parameter. So if for every parameter a method receives, we should have at param, the name of the parameter, and some comments about that parameter. I put a ... because who knows how many parameters we're going to have. Then I list another parameter. And finally, you're going to have at return, and you'll describe what is being returned by the method. Example 1. This method doesn't have a whole lot going on. Prints hello to the console. We're not actually going to look at the method code because it's unimportant, because this is just documenting what it does. And using procedural abstraction, it doesn't really matter what the code looks like. Example 2. Calculates the profit of a sold item. Precondition. Parameters may not be negative. So we're saying if you call this method, do not send a negative parameter. At param sale value. The amount the item sells for. At param actual cost. How much it was to obtain the item. How much did you pay for it? At param shipping cost. The price it was to ship the item. Return, the profit from the sale. So then when we look at the method signature, public static double, it's returning a double, profit, that's the name of the method, double sell value, that's why it matches up with the first param, double acquire cost, that matches up with the second param, and double shipping cost matches the third param. Lab documentation. In your labs, we will list the type of the return and each parameter. In your labs, I just had to remember why I have this statement. In your labs, we will list the type of the return and the type of each parameter. This is not done in real method documentation because this data can be gathered from the method signature. So I just said shipping cost. I didn't say double shipping costs after param. The reason I didn't need to say that is because when we're trying to figure out what type the parameter is, we can look down and see what the type is in the method signature. The reason we are providing you this in our documentation is there will be no method signature until you write it. So if we ask you to write a method, when we give you the Java docs, we're going to tell you what all the types are because you won't already have the header of a method. Because we're not documenting something you wrote, we're giving you the documentation for you to write it. So we'll be giving you extra information. But in the real world, you would not list the type of the param or the type of the return. It is inferred from the signature of the method below it. But since that signature doesn't exist because you haven't written it yet, we will be providing you the types that we want as the return and for the parameters. All right, that's it.